And then Hogan is later shown with his head down. He has the belt cradled in his arms, and he goes, "On behalf of the little Hulksters and myself, I'm going to have to tell the $1 Million Man, hell no!"
And this match was the Ultimate Warrior, a guy who gets the powers from the ropes, versus a man who thinks he's Hercules.
Yes. Hogan says his Hulkamaniacs are scared that him slamming Andre is going to destroy the world. And Andre is going to fall into the ocean along with all of his opponents, Donald Trump, and the Hulkamaniacs. And as Donald Trump is hanging with his wife and kids, and he lets go of all of his material possessions, thank God he's a Hulkamaniac, because he can dog paddle to safety. And if Donald Trump gets tired, well, he can just hitch a ride on Hogan's back, and he'll dog paddle everybody to safety.
Who would you rather have, Miss Elizabeth or Vanna White? I think I'd rather have Vanna White. He's like, I don't know, but Miss Elizabeth's nice too. But you would have to fight the Macho Man to get Miss Elizabeth. And Gorilla Monsoon was like, whoa, I'm not fighting anyone. I thought you just meant which one was pretty.
Brings us to our Wrestling Rewind.
Retro review. Retro.
What did you think about WrestleMania IV?
I feel like we're getting better and better with the WrestleManias. I think you're getting further and further away from your pure wrestling, and we're getting more to sports entertainment, but maybe that's why I'm liking it more and more.
Fair enough. Just in case you didn't catch on, we are reviewing WrestleMania IV. We're 4 years into the granddaddy of them all. I'll be honest with you, this clicked right off the bat. I enjoyed the hell out of this one.
I did too. This was like, okay, now we're starting to get into like wrestling.
Well, it wasn't just that. There was the wrestling mixed with the characters, so it was kind of a mix between, I guess, the best of both worlds. The flow was better. They didn't interview everybody.
Yeah, it wasn't match and then interview.
Right. I thought it was really good. I wish they would do away with the celebrity shit, but as we know, that's going to be a tradition.
It is. This was a pretty entertaining WrestleMania. Obviously, the most entertaining, like, overall so far. WrestleMania 3 at night, that's when it got good. But this one, first of all, you have a storyline of Euchre stalking Vanna White.
Oh, he was wanting to get his dick wet.
Yeah, he's chasing her all night.
And she's like, I don't know him.
Yeah.
And they're like, she doesn't know you, Bob. Oh, she knows me. She will.
Yeah, so you got that storyline, and then you got the overall story of it being a tournament to crown the champion.
Well, then you had the earlier storyline of Andre and Hogan's rematch, sort of. I think their official rematch was on a Saturday night main event, I guess. I don't quite know how that worked out, but they had a match, which was the match of the night up to that point.
And Andre the Giant won because of the referee.
He got fucked. We'll get into that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, let's just start the show.
Let's start the show. So Mean Gene, he introduces Gladys Knight, who sings America the Beautiful. And boy, did she get into it. And I thought she was a lot better than Aretha. And she didn't need backup singers.
Yeah, she didn't have any pips.
Nope. The Invitational Battle Royal is the first match of the night or evening or afternoon. I don't know when it started. They bring out a big-ass trophy, starting a tradition that they still have today. And Bob Euchre is fucking back, like you said. And throughout the whole evening, his main goal is to fuck Vanna White. Last year it was Moolah. He's graduated to Vanna White now.
Which is a big upgrade for him.
It actually is, yeah. Everyone comes out at once, and then they announce the participants when they're in the ring. I didn't bother to write who was in it and the order and stuff. Did you?
Nope. I started and I was like, okay, I'm not ready. Yeah. Like, because everybody was in the ring, yeah.
The Junkyard Dog and George the Animal Steel got the biggest reactions. I get Junkyard Dog, the George the Animal Steel one. That was kind of funny.
Was he even in the match?
No, he wasn't. I had to rewind it like 3 times. Monsoon and Ventura, they got into it because they're like, oh, he was knocked out. No, he wasn't. He never got in. No, he was in the ring at the beginning. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he never got in the ring, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah, they kicked him out. He's like, you're just pulling people out of the ring. You can't do that.
Oh, I must have missed that part.
Yeah.
I was like, where did he go?
Yeah, because he pulled Neidhart out, And then he tried to do that with somebody else. And then the ref was just like, all right, go.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember them saying, get him out of here. I was like, well, he hasn't been eliminated. And he actually hadn't even gotten in the ring yet.
No, he never officially participated.
Okay.
Even though he was a participant. The entire thing was a mess. There was several eliminations caused by people outside the ring, such as Steele. And we already discussed we had no idea what the fuck he was even doing. Bret Hart and Bad News Brown and Junkyard Dog were the final three. Hart and Brown teamed up to eliminate Junkyard Dog. And Brown attacked Hart. And the announcers were beside themselves. Like, how could he attack him? What is he thinking? What kind of class does Bad News Brown have? And my thought is, like, it's a match. They're competitors. What are they supposed to do? Just kiss and walk out together holding hands?
Well, Ventura was saying, oh, they both win. They're going to split the prize pool.
Oh, okay.
And this was like one of the first times ever in history that I can remember where the heels team up and it actually works.
True.
Because usually, you know, those plans are thrown by the wayside. They turn on each other, or, you know, one of them gets eliminated. The babyface overcomes it.
Yep.
So they actually did it and it worked.
Well, it worked for Brown because Brown immediately attacks Hart and then kicks his ass. And then dumps him out of the ring like a sack of shit. And then Hart attacks Brown after the match and breaks Brown's giant Battle Royal trophy.
Yeah, but Bret Hart was the final man eliminated, so that's good for him.
He's moving on up, I guess. Yeah,
there was nothing at stake on here.
No, there was a trophy.
Nothing but the trophy.
So Robin Leach comes out. He is the guy from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. It's like MTV Cribs, but with white people
and yachts.
In yachts, yeah. Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus $1 Million Man with Virgil and Andre the Giant to start off the tournament. How nostalgic was this matchup?
Yeah, it was definitely a throwback.
Yeah, the $1 Million Man versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Unfortunately, DiBiase hasn't gotten his music yet.
It's weird seeing him come out without the music.
Yeah, this was like the first WrestleMania where everybody pretty much got a proper entrance, and most of them had music. Some people haven't had their music yet.
It was a weird mix.
WrestleMania 5, I think everybody will have music.
Okay.
Maybe.
We'll see. That'll be interesting to see, like, the official WrestleMania where everybody has music.
Yeah. But you can start seeing, like, there's more production here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great overall. They're growing.
Yeah.
I thought DiBiase was great. I guess I overlooked him in my younger days. I was too busy being blinded by the Hulkamaniacs.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was such a big deal. Like, as big a deal as he was. Yeah, and he was doing that little falling punch thing, too.
Yeah, it was great. He and, was it Valentine? There's one other person did it.
Yeah, Greg the Hammer Valentine, yeah.
It was a nice little move. It was safe, but it still looked devastating. I think Lawler is the one that originated that, if I'm not mistaken. I might be.
Maybe, but I do remember him doing it too.
Yeah. So Hacksaw goes for his 3-point clothesline, but Andre grabs his leg. Then Hacksaw snatches Andre, and Andre punches him in the mouth.
Oh, by the way, we failed to mention Andre the Giant was out there with DiBiase because he paid for his services.
Yeah, that's kind of explained in the Andre Hogan match, but you're right. Andre's out there because he's been bought off by the $1 Million Man.
Yeah, we don't know that yet. He's just out there. And it's like, oh, he's got the big man with him. What's going on here?
Right.
But we learn later that DiBiase has paid Andre the Giant. And he's basically trying to buy himself the title. So that's what I was saying. I didn't realize he was such a big deal.
Well, he is the $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
So after Andre hits Hacksaw in the mouth, $1 Million Man does his falling punch thing to Hacksaw for the win. Then Duggan gets up, grabs his 2x4, and chases off the winning team. Because that's what he does.
Yes. And he kept doing the ho. He wasn't hoeing, but you know, he kept throwing his thumb up every move. Doing his little tongue to the side thing.
Because that is Hacksaw.
Yep.
So Mean Gene interviews Brutus the Barber Beefcake backstage. And he is officially the barber now.
He is. I didn't write down what he said here. I'll put my note in here. I didn't realize Brutus Barber Beefcake was a psychopath. But this guy is off the rails.
And Gene was in awe of Beefcake's cut-up 80s attire. And then Beefcake says he's going to beat Honky Tonk up and then snip Jimmy Hart with his hedge clippers.
Yeah, those clippers, and his eyes are all wide.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's just psycho.
Yeah.
Like, how unstable of a barber is this person?
I don't want him cutting my hair, I'll tell you that. The next match on the books is Dino Bravo with Frenchie versus The Rock, Don Morocco, who has superstar Billy Graham in his corner. It's kind of special.
And he had a cane, too.
Oh, yeah, he was fucked up by this point. Morocco was all over the place. He fucked up a Vader bomb and then inexplicably did a somersault after a pin. Morocco goes for a flying forearm, and then Bravo pulls the ref in the way. And while the ref was out, Bravo hit Morocco with a sidewalk slam. And the ref, who was up in seconds, and therefore might be the toughest ref I've ever seen in my life, he rings the bell. And then he awards Morocco the win via disqualification. You see, Dino pulled the ref in front of him to be hit by Morocco. And the ref, before getting knocked out, remembered all of that.
Yep. He felt it, so he called for the disqualification.
Yes. So it's all right. Harmless.
Yeah, it was just kind of there. I don't remember if this was part of the...
Yeah, it was.
Was this part of the tournament?
Yep, first round.
Okay.
So Bob Uecker, he interviews Honky Tonk Man. Honky says Uecker doesn't want Vanna White. He's looking for something else, if you know what I mean. Good old homosexual joke there in the 80s. Honky says Beefcake is going to get it. Then we have Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I thought this was a great match. I have no idea how Valentine wrestled without the knee pads, but like we said last time we saw him on a pay-per-view, he's just really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I did think he did the flare bump way too much.
Oh my goodness, he did it like every move he was doing it. At one point, like, yeah, Ricky Steamboat was like pushing him down.
Yeah, he's like trying. Can you do something else, dude?
Yeah.
There's a sequence where they just start slapping the shit out of each other. At this point, I start seeing Steamboat in a totally different light. I've always thought of him as like a pretty boy.
Well, I was thinking of him during this match as I don't even know the word. I'm like, what are you doing, Steamboat? This is a tournament, and you're over here wrestling a 20-minute match in the opener. Like, why are you trying to hog all of the WrestleMania? Because I thought he was going to win and keep going.
Right.
And I was like, why are you trying to hog the whole WrestleMania? Like, just put the guy away, and then, you know, you got to wrestle again. You can come back out at that point. There's no reason to be going a 20-minute match for the opener.
Well, he does start slamming Valentine's face in the turnbuckle, and then Hebner has to physically remove Steamboat from the corner. They briefly get into it. Yep. And Steamboat, he hit a crossbody that Valentine just rolls through to get the win, which was really weird.
And he hooked the tights. And
oh, yeah, Steamboat.
Like, he hooked the tights.
He didn't.
Well, that's what Steamboat was telling me.
I know. He immediately said he grabbed the tights, but I rewound it. And yeah, he didn't. Maybe he was supposed to, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So next, Mean Gene interviews the British Bulldogs with Coco Beware. The Bulldogs' dog Matilda has been trained to eat Bobby Heenan, is what I gathered from their interview. And they all gloat about it.
Yeah.
And then next up, we have the Natural Butch Reed with Slick versus Macho Man Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth. Reed kicks Macho Man's ass throughout the whole match. Savage gets a couple hope spots, but really it's all Reed. Savage gets hit with a monster clothesline, and then Reed goes to the top rope. Reed stops to tell Elizabeth she's going to get that long dick after he beats Macho Man. And then Macho Man, he immediately gets up and tosses Reed off the top rope. Then he hits his elbow drop for the win. I thought the finish kind of ruined it for me, but I was rooting for Reed.
Well, we knew Macho Man was going deep in the tournament. I thought we were going to get another Macho Man versus Steamboat.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. Maybe Steamboat. Yeah. From what I understand, Steamboat wasn't a big fan of that experience. So maybe he said hell no.
Oh, Macho Man didn't take his arm drags good?
Apparently it was like choreographed to the T.
Oh.
He didn't care for that.
Well, there you go.
Allegedly. But yeah, regardless of who I knew was going to win, I was personally rooting for Reed, for what that's worth. He reminds me of Farouk so much.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Bob Euchre, he interviews Bobby Heenan and the Islanders. Euchre says Matilda is going to eat Heenan. Heenan says the Islanders are going to win.
Fair enough.
One man gang with Slick versus Bam Bam Bigelow with Oliver Humperdinck.
Okay. I didn't get his name, so there you go.
I had a Wikipedia. Actually, he was on, man, I can't remember where he was, but he's been a manager, and he kind of did like a little rock and roll gimmick thing. It was the Humperdinck family or some shit.
Well, I thought it was Captain Luau Bana or whatever.
Now, Bigelow's music does not match his character. To me, it sounded like a Saturday Night Live theme.
Yeah, we'll get the better theme later on.
Yeah. And one man gang was a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
So Bigelow, he demonstrated that he could do a cartwheel, but not a splash, because he did a terrible one. Bigelow gets one man gang off his feet and to the ropes, and then nails him with a headbutt. Bigelow hits the ropes again, but then Slick pulls the top rope down, sending Bigelow to fall on his ass on the outside. And as Bigelow's getting in the ring, one man gang attacks him. And all the while, the ref is screaming the count in his face. So Bigelow's trying to get in. One man gang is pummeling him. The ref is counting in Bigelow's face. 1, 2, 3. There's nothing Bigelow can do. So Bigelow doesn't make the count. But at 10, Bigelow gets in, does this little fruity cartwheel, and for some reason that scares one man gang off. And yeah, Bigelow loses by count out. I was really confused. And the ref declares one man gang the winner. Bigelow and Humperdinck, they're all beside themselves. And I actually did not like this match.
I thought it was going to be better than what it was. And I don't know why Bigelow kept doing cartwheels. And I don't know why he's a face.
Right.
But I did say it was impressive having his head tattoos. Still can't get over that part.
I don't like his ring attire. It looks like pajamas.
Oh, because it's got the sleeves.
It's 100% the sleeves. If he either had no sleeves or like long sleeves, I think that would work. Mean Gene, he interviews Hogan backstage, of course. And then Gene says it's weird not to address Hogan as the world champion. Hogan says, fee, fa, fo, thumb. Then he says he's been scared since their last match at last year's WrestleMania. Hogan says the fans are asking him about the controversial count and if he's really slammed Andre. Hogan says tonight is going to erase all doubt as to who the better man is. Hogan says his Hulkamaniacs are scared that him slamming Andre is going to destroy the world, and Andre is going to fall into the ocean along with all of his opponents, Donald Trump, and the Hulkamaniacs. And as Donald Trump is hanging with his wife and kids, and he lets go of all of his material possessions, thank God he's a Hulkamaniac, because he can dog paddle to safety. And if Donald Trump gets tired, well, he can just hitch a ride on Hogan's back, and he'll dog paddle everybody to safety. Well, I guess everybody but the Hulkamaniacs, because they're still in the fucking ocean. Fuck them. I have no idea where Hogan was going with that, but that's what he said.
I thought he said Donald Trump and the Hulkamaniacs can get on his back.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that part. But
yeah, I thought that's what he said. He's like, yeah, you could hitch a ride on the largest back in the world, and Donald Trump, you and the Hulkamaniacs, or no, Donald Trump, you and your family, and the Hulkamaniacs.
Oh, okay.
You can all hitch a ride and I'll backstroke.
Okay, I thought he was just saving Trump.
Either way, my goodness, what a promo. He really went deep with that story.
And he also neglects to mention the fact that nobody would be falling into the ocean if Hogan didn't slam Andre.
Well, he's got to do what he's got to do.
He can't like just flare chop him or something. He's got to slam him
because he's got to prove it that he can slam him.
Okay,
but he's going to slam him so hard that it's going to cause him flood.
I think his logic's flawed. That's all.
Well, if that's your takeaway from that promo.
Well, if he wants me to suspend disbelief, I can only go so far.
Okay.
All right, so we are blessed with Ravishing Rick Rude, who has Bobby the Brain Heenan in his corner, versus Jake the Snake Roberts. And this is a match to determine who has the manlier 80s mustache. Heenan starts getting pissed at Rude for shaking his dick instead of focusing on the match. I thought this was a fan-fucking-tastic match. There was wrist locks. There was chin locks. Heenan distracted the ref so Rude could just outright strangle Roberts. They did a fake pass-out spot. There were double clotheslines. Both dudes looked battered and exhausted. We saw Jake's short arm clothesline, and that's personally one of my favorite wrestling moves of all time. And then they wrestled to a draw. And I can honestly say I didn't want this one to end.
This is definitely one of the better matches. And I knew it was going to be because, yeah, those two can go.
Right.
And then, yeah, all the nostalgias was hitting. He tells the person, cut my music. And then he talks about the ladies and then takes off his robe, but then tells him to turn the music back on so now that he can take off his robe.
I liked how
vintage Rick Rude.
I liked how Jake looked like an alcoholic and Rude looked like a gym rat. Just the contrast and how they presented themselves. And I think Jake had the best outfit with that simple snake around his leg.
Yeah. The very, very end was kind of weird for two reasons. Number one, the match wrestles to a draw. They went to the 15-minute time limit. But then Jake, he gets the snake out, Damien. Rude, he didn't even turn around. He just like jumped out of the ring. And then he looked back at him and was like, it was like he was really pissed off that he got the snake out.
Yeah, probably.
And then Jake left the snake in the ring as he left. I don't know if you caught that. So who the hell got the snake out the ring?
I actually didn't. So
like he just left it in the ring. Like, you gonna get that snake, bro?
Well, I don't think they treated animals very well in the WWF back then. We'll find out.
No, they didn't.
Mean Gene and
that snake's gonna get killed. Yes, they didn't treat animals.
Mean Gene and Vanna White are backstage. Gene has Vanna predict the winners of the second round of the tournament, and she, of course, picks all the good guys to win.
They insinuated that her and Hogan have some kind of thing going on.
Hogan gets her wet.
Yeah. Oh, I like Hulk Hogan. I bet you do.
Oh, I'll bet you do. Oh, tee.
Yeah. I want to be the Hulkamaniac.
Our next match is Hercules versus the Ultimate Warrior. Some guy making his debut. And the match was meat on meat. Both dudes just hammering the shit out of each other. Definitely no flippy flops.
As it should be.
And honestly, I can definitely see why people trash the Warrior because he looked clumsy as fuck. But I will take into account that this is his first WrestleMania. He's still kind of new. He's probably nervous.
Yeah, didn't help that this match was like, I don't know, between like 5 and 7 minutes, and most of it was a rest hold.
I think it was just shy of 5.
Yeah, and most of it was rest hold.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing a rest hold in a 5-minute match? I don't know, because they're both meaty.
It was definitely too long.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to last as long as it did, but, you know, it was his debut, so he hasn't really honed in on everything yet.
Well, Hercules gets Warrior in a full Nelson. Warrior does the thing where they run up the ropes and then get whoever has the hold into a pin. And it looks like both men are pinning each other, but Warrior gets his shoulder up just at the last second and wins the match. Then Hercules strangles Warrior with his chain. And then Warrior's up and then grabs the chain and starts swinging it around like a madman.
Yep. And this match was the Ultimate Warrior, a guy who gets the powers from the ropes, versus a man who thinks he's Hercules.
Yes.
Like the
actual Hercules from Apollo and all that shit.
Yes. So what a creative character match this one was.
Yeah, you know, I bet the promos were great.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like, yeah, that would have been a promo.
I'm going to have to go back and see if I can find them. So the next match is Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And this is the official start of the second round of the tournament. And even though the end of the tournament is the main event, this has been built as the match of the night up to this point. And they replay how the feud started. There's the Piper's Pit, where Andre walked out on Hogan and then ripped his shirt off and then challenged him for the world title, with Hogan saying, "Yes!" Then they replayed their match at WrestleMania III. And then it cuts to a clip of $1 Million Man claiming that he's going to buy the WWF title. And then Hogan is later shown with his head down. He has the belt cradled in his arms, and he goes, "On behalf of the little Hulksters and myself, I'm going to have to tell the $1 Million Man, hell no!" Then he turns to the crowd with the belt still cradled in his arms, and he starts shaking his head with his eyes all wide, like he just nutted. Then they show a clip of Andre trying to murder Hogan. Like Andre headbutts Hogan in the back of the head and then just starts strangling him. And Hogan like tries to Hulk up through the strangling, but fails. Then it cuts to $1 Million Man. He's asking Andre if he'll deliver the heavyweight title to him. And Andre says, "Mr. DiBiase, I will tell you one thing. I will deliver the belt, the World Wrestling Federation, and I will enjoy it, Hogan." And then Andre gives his little wide-eyed crocodile grin. Then it cuts.
There you go.
Then it cuts to a Saturday Night Main Event where Hogan has Andre beat, but then Virgil distracts the ref. Andre headbutts Hogan in the back of the head twice, and then delivers the worst suplex I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, give him some credit. It was probably the best he could do.
Well, he shouldn't have done it. Andre then pins Hogan, but then Hogan clearly gets his arm up, but the ref counts the pin anyway. The ref is literally right there, looking at Hogan's shoulder. Hogan gets his arm up, but the ref is like, "No, fuck you, Hogan. I'm counting you out." Hogan completely forgets that he was just attacked in the back of the head, and then he acts all confused.
That ref thing was Earl Hebner, the fake one.
Oh, that wasn't at WrestleMania?
No, it was that moment.
Oh, okay.
And then that's what got Andre the title, and then got DiBiase the title. Yeah.
Okay. I could have sworn that was a WrestleMania. But yeah, that's where we're at. And then the match finally starts. Andre comes out with DiBiase and Virgil. And then Hogan comes out, and he comes out to a pretty good pop. And as soon as Hogan gets to the ring, Andre immediately attacks him. And then to DiBiase, he immediately starts interfering. Hogan clunks his head into Andre's head. Because that's what they...
Meeting of the minds, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do in the 80s. I'm glad they don't do that today. That's one thing I'm glad that they've done away with. Because that looks so stupid. So Andre, he does that thing where he falls into the ropes and gets his arms tied up. And Hogan sees his vulnerable opponent and decides to rip his shirt off and pose. Hogan goes to slam Andre again, but Virgil distracts the ref, and DiBiase hits Hogan with a chair. And this has zero effect on him. Hogan then picks up DiBiase's chair and then hits Andre with it right in front of the ref, who does nothing but flap his gums. Andre then hits Hogan with the chair, and the bell rings. Hogan gets up, nails Andre with the chair, and then chases DiBiase outside the ring. DiBiase throws Virgil into Hogan, who delivers a standing suplex like a bitch. Hogan then runs back into the ring, slams Andre, and poses it to his music. Ventura rightfully mocks Hogan for celebrating so grandly after competing in a match that concluded with a double disqualification. Yes, we find out both men were disqualified. And in my opinion, Andre got fucked.
He sure did. He shouldn't have gotten disqualified.
No.
More importantly, standing out was, yes, Hogan celebrating and doing his posing for like the next 5 minutes.
For nothing.
Like he's like, why is he celebrating? He didn't even win the match.
Like he didn't even win by disqualification.
Yeah.
He's not advancing. He doesn't get a moral victory. He got nothing. It was a double disqualification. He needs to go sit in the back and eat a hot dog.
Yes, but he spent the next 5 minutes posing.
Yes. And he was getting mocked by Jesse Ventura for
But I was into it, though. You know what the Hulkamaniacs came here for? So you got to give them their posing. That's what I thought as. Like, okay. Oh, we still need to send the crowd home happy, so let's get the posing, even though you lost. It's like the person who's down 21-0 and still celebrates the first down.
Yeah. So Mean Gene Okerlund interviews Macho Man Randy Savage. And of course, Gene brings up the Hogan match. Savage says, Hogan's cheated, but not defeated, man. Hogan's never been defeated. Not by me, not by you, not by Andre the Giant, not by DiBiase. You understand? And I said, no, Randy, I don't understand. Mean Gene asks Savage about his chances in the second round against Greg the Hammer Valentine. Savage says that he's been blessed by the mania all along. You know, this puts a new light on the whole Savage being jealous of Hogan and Miss Elizabeth angle. To me now, it seems like Savage wants to clap Hogan's cheeks.
Well, we haven't got into it yet, so
Just right now, I've been blessed by the mania. Hogan's the coolest dude I know. Even though he blatantly should have been disqualified, he's cheated, not defeated. Shut up, Miss Elizabeth. I'm talking about Hogan.
You think he knows who I am?
Do you think?
Oh, I saw Hogan. Did he say anything about me?
Do you think Hulk would like this outfit? Does this match his eyes? So Savage says one half of the Mega Powers are going to win the tournament, then says he's going to take it all. And then he says, ain't that right, Elizabeth? I'm going to take it all, ain't I? Then Elizabeth awkwardly says he is. And then the Savage lust for Hogan has made me look at this entire fucking interview all wrong. Next match is The Rock Don Morocco with superstar Billy Graham versus the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And Morocco gets on DiBiase before he gets to the ring. DiBiase finally gets control. I like when he did the chokes to the ref count. You know, the 1, 2, 3. Hey, get off him. Hey, 1, 2. You know, starts choking him. The ghoulish ref that they had was awesome. He was so into it, even though he would have disqualified DiBiase already if he was a real referee.
Well, you know. Yeah. It's at the ref's discretion.
DiBiase wins out of nowhere with a stun gun, like literally out of nowhere. And again, I'll say it, DiBiase was fantastic. You could see like shades of Lawler, you know, with how he dropped the fist. And then you could see the Flair with the begging. And I don't know if like those are who he specifically, you know, getting inspiration from, but that's who he reminds me of.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that DiBiase came out. He beat Morocco all by himself. He won clean. It makes him dangerous with or without Andre or the Virgil.
That's true.
But yep, great match. Bob Uecker interviews Demolition with Master Fuji. Uecker is nervous because the night's ending and his dick isn't dripping with Vanna White's sweet, sweet pussy juice. Demolition comes in and they say Strike Force is going down and they're getting in brutal contact. One of them says in a gravelly voice, "The Golden Goose is flying low in Atlantic City. All we gotta do is reach up and wring her neck and bring her home the gold belts." And the other one is doing his best Gene Simmons impression while this is happening.
That would be Axe and Smash.
Yep.
Smash is the Gene Simmons one, and then Axe is the other one.
The tubby one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he's pretty muscular.
He might be country strong, but he's still flabby. He ain't cut.
Yeah, his back's cut.
Okay. Uecker says that it must be Halloween.
There you go with cuts again.
Uecker says it must be Halloween because he's never eaten sushi either. Good contribution there, Bob. One Man Gang is out in the ring and he's with Slick just to be given a bye. And he leaves. Then Greg Valentine gets in the ring. And it's awkward. Glad they did that. Then we have Greg the Hammer Valentine with Jimmy Hart versus Macho Man Randy Savage, who of course has Miss Elizabeth. And this was just a good match. It wasn't crazy about how it ended. So Macho Man, he goes off the top rope and Hammer hits Savage, but Savage still manages to connect with the axe handle. And that's when Valentine does his one flare bump. And I wish he would have done that kind of restraint with the Steamboat match because it would have been so much more impactful.
Well, I felt like maybe someone told him, oh, this is a little too much.
Yeah.
And then by this time he adjusted.
That could be it. Yeah, you're right. I hope somebody did. Like, come on, dude. Valentine, he drags himself up to the ropes, and then Randy gets to his feet first. He runs from the other side of the ring. Valentine, he moves out of the way. Then he drags Savage in the middle of the ring to apply the figure four. Savage counters with a small package for the win. Thought that was very anticlimactic.
It is, but at least that's one way you can use a roll-up. Like, this wasn't 2 minutes in, the rope fresh as a daisy, and then it gets rolls up.
I guess.
This was like, they've been working this match. Now he gets rolled up. Flash victory, as they would call it. And also to point out, Macho Man, each time he had come to the ring thus far, he's wearing a different outfit. So is Miss Elizabeth.
Yes. And it's color coordinated and shit. It's pretty good. Nice little detail.
Yeah, I noticed that they gave Elizabeth credit, but they didn't give Macho Man credit.
Well, I think his actual ring attire was the same, but his robes were different.
No, they changed. I know that it at least twice it changed.
Okay.
But I was thinking, like, man, he's changing for each of these things.
Yeah, give me my 4 robes. Gonna win the title. So Mean Gene.
I'm gonna wrestle 4 times. Oh yeah.
Mean Gene's backstage with Vanna White. Gene tells Vanna Euchre wants to fuck her, and she doesn't have a clue who the bastard is. Gene points out that Vanna only got 1 pick right. Vanna says she told us Hulk is still the man. And I wrote, he hit Andre the Giant with the chair. Honky Tonk Man with Jimmy Hart and Peggy Sue, who turns out to be Sensational Sherry, which I should have known with the yelling.
I didn't get a good look at her, so
yeah,
I couldn't even.
That was Sensational Sherry versus Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And I really like Honky Tonk. I appreciate his southern wrestling overreacting, his corniness. It's great. Beefcake, on the other hand, was fucking ridiculous. The wide eyes and the scissor gesture got old real quick.
He was more concerned about cutting his hair than he was winning the title.
Yeah, he'd do a clothesline, he'd look at the crowd and do a scissor motion, all wide-eyed. Then you got...
What about the snapping the shears together coming out to the ring, and then as they're doing the announcing, he's just like doing it like a madman.
Yeah.
Like, calm down, man. But that goes to show he's crazy. He's a lunatic.
Yeah, there's a spot where he gets Honky in the corner, and he grabs him by the hair. He looks at him and starts doing the scissor motion, all wide-eyed. And of course, Honky Tonk just recovers and starts beating his ass. Honky almost wins with the shake, rattle, and roll, but Beefcake grabs the ropes, and then Beefcake locks in a sleeper hold. And then Jimmy Hart hits the ref with the microphone as Honky passes out. And Beefcake starts...
Boy, did he hit that ref.
Oh, yeah.
That ref.
He nailed the shit out of him. And Beefcake starts to celebrate like he won. And then Beefcake, realizing the ref is down and that the match is not over, decides it's time to finish Honky Tonk for good. Beefcake decides to cut Honky Tonk's hair. After some shenanigans, chasing Hart, who stole the hedge clippers, Beefcake starts to cut Hart's hair with some normal-sized scissors. And Beefcake goes back to his bag. Then he pulls out the oversized hedge clippers, and he goes after Honky. Peggy Sue resuscitates him just in time, and they leave. And then Beefcake has announced the winner via disqualification.
And he celebrates like he won the title.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
So Beefcake went from just being there to now he's just going to be a nuisance.
Yes. But I did like the makeup of this match. Here you have this crazy kook who's trying to cut the Honky Tonk Man's hair. And the Honky Tonk Man is very, very proud of his hair, as you can tell, as he would always do the Elvis thing. So...
Oh, and
it was a good little matchup.
He flipped out when his hair was tousled too.
Yeah, there was at one point Barber's like really just like messes up his hair, and on commentary like, what kind of move is that? He's like, oh, he's just trying to agitate him by messing up his hair. And then you have Honky Tonk Man, tell him don't touch my hair.
And by the way, that was for the Intercontinental title, but the belt did not change hands.
Yes, it could not change hands on DQ. They did do a good history lesson. I don't know if it was in this match, but at some point they said that it was written into the wrestling rules that the title can't change hands on a DQ because that way you can't have a crooked referee call a DQ and someone get the title off of that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I never knew that was the reason.
Yeah.
I always took it as, well, it just can't.
Yeah. Well, you need a definitive winner. Yeah. Well, after Beefcake beats Honky Tonk, Bob Uecker's in the back, and he interviews Andre the Giant. Andre says, forget it, Vanna White. You get me, the only professional wrestler who's still undefeated. Was everybody on drugs at this point? You got Hogan saying he's still the man posing after a double disqualification. You got Macho Man lusting after him. You got Uecker lusting after Vanna. You got Andre saying he's undefeated. What's going on?
This was the non-scripted era. People just go out there and say whatever the hell. And then that's how you get Hogan talking about body slamming someone into the fault line so that it causes a flood, and then
the ocean.
Trump and the Hulkamaniacs have to swim on his back. And I was surprised that Mean Gene didn't start laughing or something during that promo too.
I bet those were some fun times. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall.
Yeah, probably like right after the camera turned off, they were like on the floor laughing. Like, I can't believe I held it through that.
Right. Giant says DiBiase paid him to get Hogan out of the tournament and that Hogan is the ex-champion. Euchre brings up Vanna again. Andre cuts him off. He is the next champion. Do not worry about Vanna White. Andre says Hulkamania is over and laughs. Euchre asks Andre to get his hand off his shoulder. And then Andre strangles Euchre and yells incoherently at him. Then walks away with a kid's smile.
Yep, and he had that great giant laugh.
Yeah. It would have been better if he went, oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, or like put his belly into it and lean back. But it was a great laugh.
It was.
A great giant laugh.
Yes, he was a good.
That's probably why he was in movies.
Absolutely.
Because he had a great.
The whole presentation of him was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Islanders and Bobby the Brain Heenan versus the British Bulldogs and Coco Beware. The Islanders is Haku or Ming and Tama or the Tama Kid. And it's worth noting that Tama is Jacob Fatu's dad.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is he that old?
Yeah.
Jacob Fatu?
I think he's almost 40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It looked like he was kin to Umaga.
How many times do you think barefooted wrestlers get their feet stomped on during a match?
Not as often as it should happen.
Okay.
It seems like that should be the focal point if they're barefoot.
Yeah. The highlight of the match for me was when Heenan tags in and he starts kicking the shit out of Dynamite. But as soon as he takes one single punch from Dynamite, he immediately runs to tag back out. I thought that was classic heel shit.
Yes. Oh, it should be noted here that Heenan is wearing a dog biting proof suit. Like the police wear when they're training the dogs to bite them.
Yeah.
He's wearing one of those.
Ventura had the audacity to say Matilda was ugly. Don't know what he was thinking there.
He's just being a heel.
Heenan chokes Coco, who starts flapping his arms like a bird. It's good to see. And all hell breaks loose. The Islanders clear out the Bulldogs and then pick up Heenan and slam him into Coco for the win. And then Davey gets Matilda and then commits animal abuse.
Yeah, he was trying to get him to attack Heenan, I guess.
And he's tossing the dog onto Heenan and squishing her. And you could see, I think she, at one point, she turned around to snap at Bulldog.
Yeah, he's just throwing her on his back.
Yeah, and then he's dragging her. Come on. 100% animal abuse.
Different times.
Yep. Jesse the Body Ventura is recognized for some reason. And then he takes his jacket off to pose. And not sure what the purpose of all that was.
I guess he's a movie star. Well, he is a movie star, they say it. But I guess that's why he was, I don't know. He did mention, he's like, you think Hogan is the only one who can do pose-offs? He's like, you hear that reaction I was getting? So there's that. He did call Hogan out for it, but then he did it himself.
Well, next up, we have $1 Million Man in the ring, and he is awarded a bye, just like the one-man gang. And just like the one-man gang enters his ring as $1 Million Man is leaving awkwardly. And then we get one-man gang with Slick versus Macho Man Randy Savage, of course, with Miss Elizabeth. And Savage tries to use cheap tactics to gain the advantage on one-man gang, like biting his face and then pulling his beard hair. Gang just uses his weight and pretty much beats the shit out of Savage from one end of the ring to the other. Slick threatens to pimp slap Elizabeth and then crack her upside her head with his cane. And he took his hat off and everything, so you know he was serious. When a black man in a suit removes an accessory, you better listen.
Yep.
Slick hands his cane to one. Slick hands his cane to one man gang, who keeps trying and failing to hit Savage, and then the ref finally turns around and sees one man gang failing, and then he DQs him, probably just out of pity. Gang finally hits Savage with the cane. Savage hits Gang with an axe handle, and he falls over onto Slick, and that's the end of that.
So Savage has advanced again.
Yes.
I think he's one more match away now.
Yeah, he's in the finals with Ted DiBiase. Next up, we have Vanna and Mean Gene backstage. They're excited about the end of the tournament, and Vanna has to leave. Then, of course, Euchre comes in late looking for Vanna, and his dick stays dry. And that brings us to Demolition versus Strike Force. Strike Force is Tito Santana and Rick Martel. And, of course, Demolition is Axe and Smash. It was a good tag team match. I like the contrast between the Young Flyers and the grizzled powerhouses. Appreciated how both teams wrestled like teams. Demolition was great at cutting the ring in half, preventing the other side from tagging for pretty much the whole match.
I know they pretty much controlled half the side of the ring. He would get close, whoever would get close to getting a tag, and then they drag him back to the other side of the ring.
Mm-hmm. And I like how it started with him just beating Santana down. So Martel gets a Boston Crab on Smash. Axe and Santana, they get into it, causing the ref to be distracted. Santana goes after Fuji, who tosses a cane into the ring. Axe nails Martel with the cane while the ref is distracted by Fuji and Santana. The ref took a bump that meant absolutely nothing, and we have new tag team champions. Demolition.
Demolition. One of my favorite, clearly one of my favorite tag teams. And I say that clearly because they were so recognizable.
Yeah, I liked them. I'm not too familiar with their stuff, but right off the bat, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, but I was thinking, I don't remember what their finisher was, but I do remember them coming out in the mask and looking like Kiss, and I think they were supposed to be the counter to LOD, Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. I think they were over in WCW at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what they were supposed to be a counter for. I obviously liked both teams. I was going to choose. I mean, you either had the spiked pads, or you had the all black and silver Raider-like attire. So
I thought they looked like S&M.
I was trying not to go there, but
oh no,
I was trying to stay away from that.
Nope, I will. I'll go right there. They look like S&M versions of the Road Warriors. They still look cool. I liked what they did in the ring. I'm sure there's a differentiation between the two teams. Their finishing move was called the decapitation. They would take an opponent, put him in a backbreaker position, and one would dive off the middle rope and hit an elbow drop.
Okay, good to know.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll see it at some point.
And finally, that brings us to the end of the tournament. The deciding factor on who will be our next heavyweight champion. Ted DiBiase with Andre the Giant versus Macho Man Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth. And before the match, Euchre finally meets Vanna White, and he nuts in his pants. And it's worth noting that this is Savage's fourth match of the night. And I don't know about you, but I am burned out on Savage.
It was a little much.
So, the match itself was great, of course. Savage, DiBiase. At this point, DiBiase is a immediate favorite of mine. Every time Savage gets a real advantage, Andre steps in, though. Eventually, Savage gets tired of all this, and he whispers into Elizabeth's ear. Elizabeth goes to the back. Then she drags out Hogan, who's in red tights and white cowboy boots.
And finally, a full bandana.
Hogan immediately grabs a chair, probably the one he hit DiBiase with earlier, and then sits in Savage's corner for like a second, and stands up. DiBiase scoop slams Savage and goes to the top rope. Savage recovers and dumps DiBiase from the top rope. And Savage goes for his elbow and then misses. DiBiase locks in the $1 Million Dream. Andre does something. I don't know if he slapped him or if he just put his arm up. I don't know what he did. And this distracts the ref. Hogan uses this moment to nail DiBiase with his trusty chair. Savage then hits his elbow for the win. Hogan hands Savage the belt and then grabs a chair. Hogan, Savage, and Elizabeth, they celebrate in the middle of the ring. Hogan occasionally picking up the chair and brandishing it like a maniac. And Savage and Hogan, they hug and shake hands numerous times. And Savage gives the belt to Elizabeth and puts her on his shoulders.
Yeah, boy, did they let the celebration breathe there. Because they were celebrating for almost to rival what Hogan was doing when he was celebrating, when he didn't even win the match. Jesse the Body Ventura, at one point in this match, said to Gorilla Monsoon, who would you rather have, Miss Elizabeth or Vanna White? And then Monsoon was like, Miss Elizabeth. And then Ventura was like, I think I'd rather have Vanna White. He's like, I don't know, but Miss Elizabeth's nice too. But you would have to fight the Macho Man to get Miss Elizabeth. And Girl in Monsoon was like, whoa, I'm not fighting anyone. I thought you just meant which one was pretty. So it was just funny that they were having this conversation. But I think that's the end of that review.
That's the end. That's all
So
I
that
got.
was WrestleMania number 4. Next week we have Super Brawl, WCW style. And then a week after that we have WrestleMania number 5. I think that one is Hogan versus the Warrior. Maybe that's too early.
Is it Hogan versus Macho Man?
Or maybe yeah, that's the superpowers. What I do like about these though, these WrestleManias, is like one is kind of leading to the next one, like story wise.
Absolutely.
So yes, tune into that if you would be so inclined. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. And on that note, if you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. And until next time, Top Guys out.